So, hello guys, welcome back to this video. In this video, we are going to see about configuring an Amazon EC2 instance into a web server. Previously, we had launched some EC2 instances which were named web servers, and I had shown you the detailed process of creating the EC2 and launching it. Today, we will be going over this again, but I will be going over it briefly because it has already been explained in the previous video. So I'm giving a name. I'm selecting Windows as my OS image. And in that, I'm selecting 2022 base as the version. And after that, I'm selecting T2 micro. And for key pair, I had already created a Paris key pair. I'm going to use that. And similarly for security group or firewall, I have already created one that is named Launch Wizard 1 in the previous video. I'm going to use that. And the storage is 30 GB and GP2. And I'm launching one instance T2 micro with firewall. So launch instance. And I go to view all the instances. I can see an instance named web server. It has an instance ID. Is currently in the running state. It is C2 micro. And statistics and others we can see later. So today we're going to talk about connecting to this web server. So what is this web server or what is this instance that we have launched here? It is a virtual machine. It is like a computer. We have a personal computer. We have a CPU. It has the motherboard and has RAM and all the other components. It has an OS software installed. And we are connecting that CPU to a monitor so that we can view whatever it is there in the monitor. And we may also have some input devices like keyboard, mouse, and output devices like speaker. And monitor is also considered as an output device. So this web server is similar to that, but the only thing is we do not have a monitor to view it actually. So what is it is that in the Amazon infrastructure, there is a physical server which can have many different computers like this one. This is known as virtual monitors or virtual machine. So this virtual machine is actually similar to a computer. It has some OS, it has some amount of RAM, and it is running currently. And I can connect from my home to the Amazon infrastructure and to this web server specifically through remote desktop connection. Now, this is only possible through remote desktop because it is a Windows server. In Linux or other OS like Mac or other types of Linux, there is a different protocol like SSH and other different protocols. So now we can go to the connect. So the connect is up here near the refresh button. So go to the connect, and there are three different types of connections that is manageable. But session manager and EC2 serial console, it is not available for us because this is a free tier account. So we are going to use RDP client. RDP client refers to here RDP refers to remote desktop protocol. So this means it is like a connection. It is like HTTP. It is a protocol. It allows two different computers or two or more computers to connect with each other. So you can join two computers in a connection and you can share the data between the two computers. So currently I have some public DNS name which I can use to connect to this virtual machine. I have a username and here it says password and says get password. Previously, I had mentioned that a key pair is very important and it should always be enabled. So this is where we'll get to use the key pair. So if we select on get password, here it shows your instance ID and associated key pair. What key pair is used with this instance? So here if we select the upload private key file and then go to the key pairs. I have stored key pairs in a separate region. So AWS Paris key pair. Similarly, I have for other regions like Mumbai and London. So I'm selecting Paris key pair. And here, if you do not upload the correct key pair, so let us say I'm trying to upload Mumbai key pair, it will be uploaded and the contents will be displayed. But when you try to decrypt the password, it will not decrypt. It will say there was an error. This is because what you are associated with your instance is the Paris key pair. But if I try to use Mumbai key pair, it won't work. This is because like key pair is region specific. Here you can see there are many different regions and currently I'm in Paris. So in Paris, there will be a public key and private key. So public key is the part of the key pair that is stored in AWS infrastructure in Paris. And private key is what I have on my computer file. So all these are private keys. These .pem files are private keys. So this AWS Paris is a private key. So I'm uploading this and this private key must match with the correct public key to be decrypted because both of these are encrypted. So one is like the actual key and the other is like the lock. So we can consider the public key is the lock and the private key is the key to open that lock. But both here are called keys. It is not to be confused because I am saying lock, it is not a lock. Both here are simply some files, some encrypted files. But together they can be decrypted into some password which AWS shares with us. So if I click decrypt password, this time there was no error. And here I can see a password that is created. So how do I connect from my computer to this virtual machine? So first go to your search bar and then type in remote desktop connection. Mostly it will come immediately, but if you just type till remote, it will be showing up remote desktop connection. So open this and here it will ask for a computer and a username. So if you click the show options button, you will have the option to change the username and change the computer. So first I'm going to copy the public DNS and I will paste it here. So this is a new server. Next, I am copying the username, which is administrator, and I am pasting it here. After that, I should click connect. So here, what is happening is through remote desktop, it is trying to connect to that VM, that is the computer that we created in AWS infrastructure. So this will check if it is able to connect to that VM. Previously, we had seen something like, one second, I'll just copy the password and paste it here. And if I click OK, it will show a pop-up. Are you sure that you want to connect to it? Because this is not identifiable. So it will ask all that. Just click yes, and you can you can connect to it normally. So as I was saying previously, I was talking about status checks. And in status checks, there is something called system status and instance status. So if my system is not reachable, like the physical hardware in the AWS infrastructure in Paris, if it does not has internet connectivity, we won't be able to connect via remote desktop. In the initial phase itself, like when we gave username and administrator, so at that time when we clicked connect, it won't be able to reach it. And similarly, in instance status, if this fails, similarly it won't be able to connect because there is no internet connection to access it remotely. Okay, so now we have accessed it. So here, if you go, you can see it has some. The computer has some name, EC2 AMAZ, and whatever name it is, some serial number. And again, instance ID is something else. It has a private IPv4 address and a public IPv4 address. And we can see the instance type, or here it is shown as instance size, e2.micro. Availability zone, I'll cover that later. And architecture AMD24 and total memory is 1024 and all that. And network connectivity is there. So I'm able to connect to the internet. It is connected to the internet. So next we can go to server manager. So go to start and type server manager and it will open. Or you can go to command prompt. So CMD and command prompt will be open. And here you can type server manager. However, when you're typing in command prompt, there should be no space to be given between server and manager. It is a one single word. It will okay, so command, it will open it. So I have already opened server manager, and this is just a small like pop-up that shows what it does and all that. This is not needed. So server manager, what this does is you have currently created a computer. So you're not just going to use this as a computer. You will be using it for some purpose. Like you want to make this the host server of some gaming app, or you want to host some website on this, or you want to have some database management system here. All that can be done via the server manager. So you want to make this into into web server. That is what we are trying to do now. So we are going to host a website here. So to do this, select this add roles and features here, and here it will show some uh, tips and tricks before what you need to know about all this. So just go next. Installation type, whether you want remote desktop services or you want some feature like website, DNS, DBMS, all that. So in some computers, remote desktop may be removed, or or maybe it is not installed by default. Maybe for security purposes, remote desktop will not be there. So if you want to install remote desktop, you need to select this. And there are many different features in that. Now we are going to make this into a web server. So select role based or feature based installation. Select next. Server selection. This is just one server, only one is available, only one server is there. If we had some groups here, then maybe more computers may be available, but we only have one. So go to next. Here you want to select what you want to do with this. Well, we can make it DNS, or you can make it DHCP, which is some networking concepts and all that. So what we want to do is we want to make this into a web server. So select the web server checkbox and it will show a pop-up and ask what all the features that you want. So simply click add features here and go to next. In features, you don't need to do anything because everything that we need for now will be automatically installed. So go next, and again next, what are all these will be shown, and whatever is available in web server is shown. So in major difference between Windows and Linux is that the web server name is different. In web server, it is called IIS, which means Internet Information Service. However, in Linux, it is known as Apache, which is a common software, which has many different uses other than just web server. There are many branches in Apache. So we select next here, and here it will ask if we want to restart the computer automatically. For installing a web server, it is not needed. So simply select install and it will start installation and it will take some time till it installs. So before that, we need to know whether we can access this or not. So if we go to details, we have something called public IPv4 address or public IPv4 DNS. You can select and copy this and simply paste it in some other browser, or in my Opera I have protection enabled, so I won't be able to access unprotected servers. So this server, whatever we are trying to do, after we make it into a web server, it will naturally become HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. However, there is something called HTTPS, which means for secure. That S means for secure. Here you can see it says not secure, and we also cannot reach this page because we do not have web server enabled. Like our web server is not yet made. So if you go to this here, it is still installing here. So how do we know web server is not yet installed other than looking into server manager? So this can be done easily. You can go to this PC and local disk C. Here you can see something called inet pub. This does not exist. This does not exist by default. You can maybe check in your computer or something. But by default, inet pub does not exist. Only when we start installing this IIS server, inetpub is and a folder named inetpub is created in local disk C, and this has all the necessary requirements for creating a website. So in this, there is a folder called www root. So in this, you can see some files, which is default IIS files, like Windows web server files. What this does is it actually creates a uh, HTML file. You can see in the properties here, it is a HTML document, and this is actually used for default website. For now, I'm not touching anything here. This is already existing. So if I try to refresh it. I'll have to check before doing this whether installation is complete. Yeah, installation is complete here. So I can just close this, and you can see here a new like role or server group is added here. Before this, we only had file and storage service, local server, all servers. But now we have an extra role, which is IaaS. What this means is from now on, this virtual machine that we have is also performing the role of a web server. So we can go to here. We now it will work. So here you can see I just pasted my public IPv4 and it is asking this site is not secure. Do you want to go or do you want to go back or do you want to continue to the site? Because this is risky. You don't have HTTPS, so it is not secure. So it is prone to hacking, or there can be like data theft from this kind of websites. So if I select continue site, it is currently loading, and after it is loading, it will show the default page the mic that Microsoft has already made. So whenever you install IaaS service in any computer and you try to access it via public IP, not able to access it here. Second. So HTTP sites are actually not secure. So data theft, like if you enter any sensitive data like username, passwords, or some bank details or something like that, when asked, it can lead to data theft very easily. So currently, I'm not able to access this. I'll just check one second. I have IAS installed. So here, so the application is posting. It's all running. Uh, Yeah. Okay, so I'm not able to access the site currently. So we'll try to access it maybe in a later video. So today for this video, this is it. And if you actually follow the steps that were done in this video, you should be able to do this properly. So basic things are go to server manager, um, open add roles and features, uh, select role based installation type and select the server. And in the server roles, check the web server checkbox. And after that, go to next. And at the confirmation stage, select install. So it will be able to install it properly. And after that, you can access it via either the public IPv4 address that is available here or via the public IPv4 DNS, which is automatically assigned by Amazon. I'm not able to see why it's not connecting right now. Probably have some network or other issues. So yeah, that is it for this video. Thank you for watching this, and we'll tune in on next video about instance states. There are some different instance states here, and we'll see about all this in the next class.